Okay, so we're going to start this cake off with a box cake mix. I'm a huge fan of jazzing up box cake mixes. So don't follow the recipe on the back, follow my recipe. So the combination of chocolate and coffee, I think coffee, a little bit of it, and chocolate, it just takes it to a whole nother level. So we're going to take a chocolate cake mix and jazz it up and make it rich and moist and make it taste like it came from scratch. I'm all about shortcuts. I love desserts. I really like baking cakes, but I just don't have all day to do it. So 1 devil's food cake mix. We're going to keep this nice and moist, and we're going to add, and I do this with a lot of when I jazz up cakes, I'm going to add some chocolate pudding mix. So instant pudding, 1 small box of that, the 3.4 ounces. A 1/3 of a cup of oil, vegetable or canola oil. 4 eggs. Now normally those cake mixes say 3 eggs. My pastry chef friends say, you know what, do 4. So I've been doing 4 eggs in my box cake mix recipes. So give it a try. And then instead of adding water, we're going to add some strong coffee. So if you're making coffee in the morning, you've got some leftovers in your pot, make it a little strong, you can use it to make this. We need about a 1 1/4 cups. Also, it's really nice to have on hand, if you're not a coffee drinker, is a jar of instant espresso or even instant coffee. And you're going to mix 2 tablespoons of that with some very hot, 1 1/4 cup hot water. So this is all going to go in here. You're not going to, don't worry, you're not going to taste a really strong coffee taste at all, but it's just, like I say, it's that addition of chocolate and coffee just, I think, takes it to the next level. So it's not going to be overwhelming coffee taste. It's still going to be very chocolatey. So get out your electric mixer and mix this for a couple of minutes until it all comes together. Preheat your oven to 350. 325, 350 is what I normally bake cakes and cupcakes at. Just depends on your oven. Everybody's oven's different. This one here is, we usually do about 25 degrees higher than normal, so 350. And you're going to notice this is a really thick, rich batter. That's because of the eggs in the pudding, and that's what's going to make this a very, very moist and delicious cake. So you can do this in a 9x13. You can actually do it as cupcakes, but I thought we'd do a really pretty layer cake. I haven't done one of those in a while, and so I thought that'd be kind of fun. So we've got some 8 or 9 inch rounds. I'm going to spray with baking spray. This is relatively new, and instead of cooking spray when you're baking, use baking spray, and then you don't have to flour the pans. It really works well, especially when you want to make sure that these cakes come right out of the pans. This will do that job. So we want to get about an equal amount of batter in both of our round pans. We used to do layer cakes all the time when I was growing up, and these days it's just so quick and easier to do like a 9x13, but there's something special about that layer of frosting in the middle when you cut into it. So I thought, you know, for this one, let's take the time and do a layer cake. Growing up as a kid, you know, birthday cakes were always homemade. So we'd always get to pick what, you know, kind of cake mix we'd have, and I always liked the layer cake. Anne had pie instead of birthday cake for your birthday. What kind of pie would you request?
Chocolate cheesecake.
Chocolate cheesecake pie? I think I need that recipe. Is that your mom's recipe?
Yep.
Well, let's do it on the show sometime. That sounds like a winner. Okay, you can lick that, Anne.
No,
It's all yours.
Say that anymore. Oh my goodness.
So we're going to get these into the oven. And they're going to bake for about 20 to 30 minutes until you do the old toothpick test. And then we've got them right here, pulled them out of the oven, and let them cool for a little bit because we're going to make a homemade coffee buttercream frosting. I'm a big fan of using box cake mixes and jazzing them up. Not a huge fan of the frosting, pre-made frosting in a can. It's just a little too sweet for me. It's great in a pinch, or it's great if you need it for decorating, things like that. But I really like to make my own homemade frosting. So I've come up with lots of really easy frosting recipes, and this one is a breeze. So we're starting out with some softened butter, and it's, if you know you're going to be baking a cake, it's really nice to be able to pull it out the night before. Really hard to microwave butter and get it soft. It really turns to liquid and melts very, very quickly. If you are in a pinch, just do it for like a second or two. I'm serious. And then let it continue to thaw on the countertop, because once you get it to that melting point, it's just not going to work in this frosting. You don't want it melting. You just want it softened. Now, this is what's going to make this frosting really incredibly yummy, is that we have a block and a half of softened cream cheese. So if you like carrot cake, which I love, which has that cream cheese frosting, I think you're really going to dig this frosting recipe. So it's a coffee buttercream. So I'm going to get the butter and the cream cheese going. I've got some powdered sugar, and then again I've got some more strong coffee. It's going to give it a nice little coffee color to it. But again, if you don't have strong coffee, you can just dissolve some espresso, instant espresso, which just comes in a jar. I always have that in my pantry for baking. And then just put that in a little bit of hot water. That works out great too. So I want to mix that well. Gradually, I'm going to add powdered sugar. I don't want to add it all at once, because then I'll be wearing it. I'll probably be wearing it anyway. So it's a pretty simple recipe. And I want this to be nice and spreadable, so we'll add a little bit of our coffee in here. Ooh, and it's, like I say, it's a gorgeous color. Kind of scrape the side of the bowl and see how we're doing here, if we need more powdered sugar. I think we'll do a little more powdered sugar and a little more coffee. I just want it a little bit more beige, so it looks like a cup of coffee. It's going to be really rich with the cream cheese and the butter. This is a cake, though, I want you to refrigerate it until you serve it. That's going to keep it nice and moist, but it's also, we've got that cream cheese frosting here, so don't want to really leave that on the counter. Okay, we're getting really nice coffee color, which is what I was looking for. Okay, I think we're ready to rock and roll. Start frosting this cake. Just scrape the bowl one more time. This would be perfect if you're having the ladies over for coffee and book club. This would be the perfect dessert to serve. And as I said, you could also do this in cupcakes. Maybe decorate the top with one of those chocolate-covered, each cupcake with chocolate-covered espresso beans. Those are always fun. Christine, our happy cookie lady, is here, and she's got some fun coffee-inspired treats, too. Okay, so let's start frosting this cake. I've made quite the mess, haven't I, Ann? Is there any other way to make a cake? I don't think so. It's hard to be neat. So you see the color of the frosting? And we're going to frost the first layer, just a nice layer in between. And then we're going to top the cake with the second round. And I'm just going to get to work and make this gorgeous. So stick around. We're going to finish our mocha cake with that coffee buttercream frosting and make it look gorgeous. And coming up, some more really fun ideas and recipes with coffee. Yeah, we're going to show you something neat to do with coffee beans. So don't go anywhere because we'll be back.